Alright, the season has ended, and it is time to do my one season review on this thing. This is my 2023 cfmoto 1000 Overland with the camo, and I bought it back, I believe, in May. Let's see how much time we've got on it. That's 632 miles with 47 engine hours. That's a pretty hard season right there. I was mostly doing hard packed dirt road, hit some mud, did some tight trails. Um, yeah, and honestly, a fair amount of road riding as well, even though I can't really do that in New England much. So let's go. Let's start with the bad, honestly. Stuff that broke on this machine in the first season was minimal, which I guess this is a bad thing, but I think it's good that this list is so short. The screw came out and this flip ripped out, so I've just got it in on a cable tie. That's pretty standard fare. Some marks on the bead locks, but nothing bad. I'd say my biggest issue is that my park sensor doesn't really work super well, so it won't start even when it's parked, but you just have to pull the brake in. So it's not a huge deal, but definitely not my favorite thing about this. And then moving back into here, I just lost the cfmoto badge on the back yesterday. That was kind of a bummer. And then over here, I got a pretty meaty stick came up through my floorboard in a relatively unprotected spot and kind of impaled my floorboard a bit. So that's what broke. My complaints with this machine: one, turning radius is terrible. This is obviously a very long four-wheeler. I don't know the specs off the top of my head, but it's a very long machine. You're going to be doing 3-point turns. You're going to be doing 5-point turns. And yeah, that's all there is to it. It doesn't turn well. Additionally, I wish this foot brake only actuated the rear brake. Instead, this is also tied into all four corners as well as the front brake. Front brake, I'm fine with that being all four, but I do wish there was at least another one on the left side that could do the front brakes only, and then you could have rear brakes only, and then you could have both running your dummy brake. I also didn't like that it didn't come with a passenger seat. I really like the passenger footwells, but $600 for an extra passenger seat, I'm not a fan of that. I wish you could either option it with the seat or the central luggage. Central luggage is great. That thing's a fucking enormous unit, and if you're doing any kind of camping, overnight stuff, which we're going to be trying next summer, it's awesome. But I did a lot of two-up riding this year, so we got the seat. It was $600. The seat's pretty good. It's not great. Kind of have a tendency to push you forward a little bit. Another thing that went wrong, these screws back out. I would check these every once in a while. These are little just rubber caps. You can see I lost one. You can see the screws backing out, kinda. So just keep an eye on those screws. Another thing I don't like, the CF Connect system. It works great. It honestly works awesome. There's no accessories for it. They have central luggage and then your universal clamps up front that you can buy, and that's it. There's like one aftermarket gas tank that I don't even think you can buy. I think it's just on someone's website somewhere. There's no accessories whatsoever. It's really annoying because this thing is not great on gas. You get like an 8-gallon tank, pretty much get 20 miles, 25 miles to the gallon with regular riding. That's not fantastic. Not a huge fan of that. Another thing to note, I guess let's just touch on what I've changed on this machine so far. So light bar up front, stock headlights. I think this is the best stock headlight setup on any machine. Especially you get these little accessory lights down here, high, low, accent. Someone just gave me this headlight, and I just need to buy a wiring harness. So put this light bar on. I've put this guy on. I feel like this would have been nice to have a mirror on this machine from the factory, but it is what it is. There's also no small storage compartment up front. You don't get storage here. You know, good storage here. You know, good storage under here. You pretty much need to put a fender bag on, and obviously there's plenty of room for that on either side. You can honestly put two on, and that works great for your phones, your drinks, all your little stuff like that. So that's kind of annoying. That's something I really hope gets corrected on the new version of this, because this is an outgoing model. I think next year, the year after, they're going to be completely overhauling the 1000, which honestly cool. I also needed to raise these foot pegs up. If you see, these front pegs are pretty flush set, and these rear pegs are raised up a lot. It's because my girlfriend is very short. She couldn't really reach the pegs. So honestly, I don't think that's a design flaw. She's like 4'11". You can't design the biggest four-wheeler ever made around someone who's 4'11". But I would say it's honestly a plus, because it was so easy to do that. I literally just took a bunch of washers or like some bushings, spacers, whatever, and just stuck them under there and then ran longer bolts through that. I also did these little mud flaps here out of some like rubber roofing material, because as soon as you hit any mud, this entire back area is just covered in a layer of mud. So that's annoying. You do have storage back here, which is nice. And I mean, it seems pretty dry, pretty watertight, and it's nice because it keeps it warm. So you can put sandwiches in there and then have them warm out on the trail, and I like that. But yeah, these things come out pretty good. It's kind of a two-handed job, but actually no, it's not. Yeah, they come right off, and they are sealed. They keep stuff warm, they keep stuff cold, they have drains in the bottom. Really, really great design. And then obviously, if you want to put stuff on top, you've got little tie-down points. Really fantastic design. I would say, let's talk about some of the specs of the machine. Another weak point is ground clearance. Very low. You're going to be bottoming out a lot. And I'll get back to that. Power. I think this thing has plenty of power. I think they underrate the power on these things. I got this going over 70 miles an hour with someone on the back. It's terrifying having this thing going over 70 miles an hour. Power steering pretty much shuts off almost entirely over like 30 to 40 miles an hour. I think the power steering is good. Could use a little bit of refinement, and it's going to get that refinement, I think, in the next generation. But power is good. Clutching is phenomenal. Ground clearance isn't great. Torque is awesome. This thing will do wheelies. You just need to set the suspension up a little bit. And that leads me to my next point. I think the suspension is one of the weaker points on this. You get these, zoom out, Yit suspension brand. Compression adjustment, preload, or rebound adjustment, and obviously a preload adjustment. I think they're fine shocks. They're not like Elka Stage 5s or Fox Podiums or anything. They're good shocks. It's just that they do not come set up from the factory like a Can-Am will. You need to add about 1 inch to 1.5 inches of preload all the way around on all four corners, and you need to increase your compression by about 3 clicks and your rebound by about 2 or 3 clicks as well. If you do not do that, this thing will be bottoming out constantly, and you'll be G'ing out constantly. It's just really annoying. So, but just remember, an additional inch of preload, more clicks of compression, more clicks of rebound, and you're pretty much good. And then make sure the tires are aired properly. They're set for like 6.5 psi. My dealer filled them up to, I think, 20. I say 8 is pretty good, unless you're doing some stuff where you might get stuck. Overall quality of the machine, I think is pretty good. I don't think it's where Honda is, and I think that's about it. I think it's above Polaris, 100%. I do. I am riding with a guy who has a Polaris Sportsman 570, also 2023, and I'm going to be really interested to see which one of these machines lasts longer, which one can get more miles. But I think this is right in the middle of the pack in terms of fit and finish and quality. We do have greasable suspension in the back, which I really like. None in the front. which, not the end of the world. We don't have any bad bushings and bearings anywhere on the machine after 600 miles, as far as I know, so that's really nice. And, I mean, I think the hydro dip or whatever it is on the plastics has held up phenomenally. I don't see any issues anywhere. And we've been riding this thing really hard. So, moving into the controls here. This cluster here is awesome. Pretty run-of-the-mill locking 4x4. That's all well and good. This is for your little accessory lights. This is my own switch for the light bar. Start, stop. You do get a horn, which is nice. And then another thing I noticed is that your headlight switch does not actually line up with what the headlights are doing. So that's a little annoying. That might just be on my machine. That might just be a 1000 thing. But once you get used to it, it's fine. And I do like that all of these little symbols here for all of this stuff, those all light up at night. So this is a really great machine to be riding at night. Moving on from there, I guess, is this machine worth it over, like, is this a decent substitute for an Outlander? I think this is a better machine than an Outlander. And I think that once they start coming out with the new cfmoto cforce 1000X and the MV, which are those basically are looking like they're taking a stab at the XTP and the XMR. I think the Can-Am's going to be completely obsolete because it's $18,000 for one of those. I paid $12,400 out the door, taxes, dealership fees, everything. $12,400 for this thing. And to put that in perspective, the next question, is it worth it over an 800? Yes, this is the same chassis as an 800. I'm going to go over everything that you get on this machine right now that you don't get on an 800. Front and rear bumper, awesome. Accessory lights, awesome. Winch, awesome. Extra inch on your tire size. Beadlock rims. Fender flares. Front fascia. This thing doesn't do anything though. You should probably upgrade that if you really want that. If you really want to be using a windshield. Get these racks or these cargo bins. Awesome. Obviously this rear bumper. Awesome. For $1,000, and not to mention a bigger motor. You get, I think, an extra 15 horsepower. And yeah, I mean, it's not rated as high as your Can-Ams, but it still does wheelies. It will still go 70 miles an hour all day long. You can't beat that for a $10,000 machine. And yeah, I would say that's my kind of relatively brief review of this after 1 year. Also, maintenance is very easy. Oil changes are very easy on all 4 oil things. Yeah, but other than that, I think I would highly recommend these machines, and I'm really excited to see what cfmoto does with their next generation. So, thanks for watching, guys.